And we have a very interesting situation here. We've got one coming in on us
who is spraying at him wildly.
Hello everyone, this is JG1 Barton. I've been flying combat flight simulators for over 20 years. I have my own small YouTube channel. I've been a member of JG1 for over 11 years. If you want to check out JG1, go to jg1.org. We fly everything from World War I to Cold War, and I have experience in all of those as well. We have a really good fight here for us in this video, and I have to thank Enigma for bringing me on to give some commentary. This is a lot of fun. These videos are really cool. So without further ado, let's get started.
Hello everyone, Tempest here, and welcome to another installment of the Ace Files with Enigma. My name is Tempest7MR. You can find me on Twitch. I've been in-flight simming for a very long time. I think this is my third or fourth installment doing this with Enigma, so I'm back on the channel. If you're interested in more of my background and whatnot, please check out some of his earlier videos that he's done. And we're going to be looking at this P-51 fight that I believe the Nines had with a 109 opponent. So this is my first time watching it, first time reactions, so we're going to walk through it and go from there. So guys, stay tuned and let's see what happens here. Nines is a great pilot, so I'm looking forward to this fight.
This is a special video for three reasons. One, this is the first episode we have from the Ally perspective. Two, the pilot in this video is not me. It is the Nines from the IL-2 community. And three, because I am not the pilot, I can be one of the commentators in my own series. I've been really happy with this series, and I originally intended to get community submissions in, and then I could spend my time curating commentators. So really do send me clips if you're interested. If this is your first time here, this channel focuses on multiplayer sim gameplay, so if you're into that, please subscribe. And most of you know a bit about me, but I have never laid out my background in flight sims before. I started off with the old school games, Top Gun for the Nintendo, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter on the PC. I switched to Microsoft Combat Flight Sim series later, and then into IL-2 1946, as well as a short stint in Ace's Time. I was never really great at those games, just played them as a kid. But World War II Online was the first real flight sim where I went really deep and started to get a real understanding of PvP flight simming. I love dynamic campaigns, and I love competition, and this game had all that. I played that game on and off for about 10 years, and since that game died, I've been chasing that same high since then. The asymmetry in combat flight sims, the balance between greed, aggression, and patience, is what makes the fight so interesting. The knowledge you pick up, just understanding the aircraft, or the knowledge you pick up just by playing the game, builds a skill over time, and it's something that I find really interesting, and that's why I love this genre so much. I actually had taken a break from playing flight sims for a very long time. I actually didn't even have a throttle or a joystick or anything, and then COVID happened, and then I had a lot more free time at home, and I kind of fell back into flight sims after not being in it for a couple of years. So that's my background, and we can start the clip, and we begin just as the Nine balances a 109, and I don't think he got any hits here, and he is clever because he's keeping his speed up and not doing anything drastic to bleed himself up to any speed, which is what you always want to do.
It's a 109 G14, and the Nines sweeps through with the P-51, takes a shot, does not hit, and then goes into the rate fight. And the 109 looks like he's got some smash, so he's closing, and there's a second bandit here as well. So the Nines is staying in his turn. He's got two bandits.
Using a slight turn at high speed to push our opponents into G-lock. This 109 G6 is glued to our tail, but he's not going to be able to stick with us through these high-speed turns.
So he has to tighten the turn here in order to avoid the nose, and this is quite scary against the 109s because they do have a lot of nose authority, and a single 20 or 30 mil and your plane's basically screwed. And now he's trying to juggle both of them, so he has to be conscious of where the noses are.
Now we have a very interesting situation here. We've got one coming in on us, and he's got nose on, so he's going to get a shot. However, we have a lot of speed, and this is a very high angle shot. And at high speeds, the BF-109's controls tend to lock up a little bit, and the amount of lead that he's going to have to pull to try and get a hit on us is ridiculous. So it's a very, very, very low percentage shot that he's going to have here. But now we also have both of our opponents on the same side of us again, which is good. But now at least one of them is out in front of us with his tail towards us. So we're gaining a lot of advantage on both of these guys. We've gained quite a bit on the first person. So from here, after this merge, after this pilot, the offensive BF-109 is going to take the shot, we're going to be in a situation where we have one in front of us and one behind us. And being able to switch between targets is going to be a key to surviving this fight. Anytime you have a 2 versus 1 where you're the monkey in the middle, you have to be able to switch targets whenever you need to, regardless of what kind of an advantage you have over one of them. You always have to play the bandit that has the advantage over you first. You always have to play defense first. And make sure that you're at least in a neutral position to the second BF-109 before you go offensive on the other one. So
Fight again. That second 109, the dip under the clouds popped up again, and we've got, yeah, so it looks like there's two 109s here. So one's trying to saddle up, and he's in a turn fight with the first one. Diving out, leveraging the sustained turn capability of the P-51. Oh, we got some lag here. Try to pull.
We're going to push really hard for this shot because we have the advantage. We can take the shot, and our second bandit is out of position. And again, when we complete our attack, we're going to turn away from our opponent and extend.
Pull this 109 into the HUD. He takes some shots.
Got to swipe in and now time to get out. Can't get dogpiled trying to twist and turn. Just got to keep your speed up because you're still trying to juggle both of these guys.
We've pushed this fight all the way down to the deck, and now we need to push out and extend away from these guys and get some altitude to maneuver with. But we can't just stick our nose up because the BF-109 has a really good climb rate and a really good power to weight ratio, and these things can prop hang like crazy. So we're going to extend out and put our nose up slightly, and as they gain on us, we're going to turn back into them and start complicating the angles again, but we need to make sure that we keep our speed up the whole time.
Extending out because he knows that second 109 is dangerous and is chasing him. So he's going to leverage the speed of the P-51 and get himself some distance. So if both of these guys are 109 G6s or G14s, he should have the speed advantage here, even with their MW50 in the straight line. Climb, I think, is pretty close.
So one thing that does not get mentioned too much is that it is a bit tricky in late war to fly as a Luftwaffe. The 190 and 109 are still great planes, but they just get heavier and heavier as the war goes on. Instead of being always able to outclimb or outdive your opponents, things start to equal up a bit in late war. And when you fight a mixed bag of yaks that can turn, ponies that can run you down, or late war Spitfires that can outclimb you, then you can't always dictate the fight. The 9s here is dictating the fight, and after taking an attack is using some time to build up some options in order to formulate another future attack.
So as the second BF-109 comes up into us, we've turned into him and made this a really high angle shot. So he's not much of a threat to us at the moment. The guy that's below is open to attack, but in order to attack him, we'd have to leave ourselves open to attack from the second 109 again as he comes back around. And that BF-109 knows that we're coming for him or is looking at us, so he's going to complicate things as we come down on our attack. He's going to make our attack less likely to be successful, and he's not a factor in this fight right now. Even though there are two BF-109s in the area, we really only have to fight one of them because the other one is in an energy state where he can't get to us. He's too low and too slow, so we have essentially a 1v1 up here with this other BF-109, and that's the route that we're going to take.
So it takes the first 109 over the top while trying to dive on the second. Isn't able to get a shot on either. One of the 109s stalls out. Looks like he did get hit. Looks like there's some smoke coming out of him. So one of the other 109s stalls out, and he's pulled this first one with more energy into a looping contest.
So this smoking 109 initially used up all his energy to try to get guns and missed. Now he's just flailing below. And this goes back to what I said about juggling. 9 knows that the smoking 109 is not a threat, and 9s is keeping his energy up and is starting a loop and is essentially in a 1v1 with an observer who's off to the side, who will become a new participant into the fight soon. So he has some time.
And again, Nine's just trying to keep this 2-circle fight. Again, this tail chase fight, because this is where the P-51 loves to be. And he's going to...
Holy moly, what discipline. There's a lot of pilots out here who would have dropped flaps and pulled as hard as they could and pushed themselves into a stall to try and get this shot. And it's possible that if he dropped maybe 20 degrees of flaps when he was starting to come down, that he might have been able to get this shot. But it would have sacrificed quite a bit of speed, and he might not have gotten it. You might not have been able to pull enough lead. And if you're pushing that hard, putting yourself on the edge of a stall, and a P-51 can be a really big mistake, because P-51 doesn't really recover very well if you let it go into a spin. And ending up in a spin that's sapping a lot of energy when you have two pretty well-skilled BF-109s with you is a death sentence. So it's just an incredible amount of discipline and knowledge going into this attack here, and not taking the shot and not pushing past his capabilities.
Try to pull this 109 into the HUD and isn't able to do it. And it looks like the 109's out of energy. So he's going to come up over the top again in a hammerhead, and he's looking at the first guy.
So let's back this up, because I think two things were really important here. The first is that I know I fly a little bit too aggressive, and I personally probably would have tried to cash in my chip to try to make this shot, which probably isn't the best idea. The 9s pushes through, and right when he goes past the 109, that healthy 109 stalls out immediately, and he would have been an easy target for a hammerhead. But then the second 109 came back in, and the 9s, instead of really completing his loop, what he does is he essentially just does an Immelman, and then he points his wing at the 109 to make himself a smaller target so he can survive. So, you know, that whole sequence right there, close to getting a kill, decided to let it go, push through, second contact comes in, and then is able to have enough energy in order to be defensive to keep the fight going.
Who is spraying at him wildly and misses the second 109, or the smoking 109 misses his opportunity to land any hits on 9s. And
again, importantly, turning away from his opponent after he attacks to not get sucked into a knife fight. So he's going to turn away and extend and use his energy state. See a lot of people in energy fighters getting throwing away their advantage by turning into and chasing their opponent after their attack when they don't need to. Just extend away, reset the fight in your advantage, just like we do here, and control the fight. That's the most important thing. Control the fight when you have the energy advantage.
9 just lights up that 109, so avoids the other one and lights up the guy that he overshot and pulled up into a hammerhead.
Just did an attack. Now using our ability to walk away to come up with more options. No need to keep pressing.
And now he's eyeballing the smoker that either he hit earlier or came in with some damage. And it doesn't look like that 109 is going to have any smash to climb up after him. So 9s is doing a little bit of a spiral climb here, getting that 109 to stall out below him, and he's going to sweep down and drop the nose on top of him. You can see here he's just keeping his eye on his opponent, and he's waiting for those angles to open up, and he's going to sweep in for a low angle deflection shot. And that 109, and he's checking his 6 to make sure that the other guy is either dead or gone or not coming in. And so it looks like we lost him in the clouds here. So 9s is now looking around, trying to figure out where.
Importantly here, when I say control the fight with your energy, this is exactly what I mean. So when we get over the top of that cloud, we're turning against the BF-109 and making sure we're checking 6, because we still don't know where that other 109 went yet. But we're staying above him, and we're pushing for control of the fight. We're pushing for a spot on his 6. But as he continues to turn, he's staying in the cloud, so we're not really able to get a clean attack on him. And at this point, we're going to do something next level. So we're going to turn away to the left outside of the fight and into the sun. And now when this BF-109 comes around, he's going to stop turning and he's going to continue straight, and that's going to allow us to get an attack in.
The other 109 went. You could hear he's pulled back on the throttle a bit because he doesn't want to blow up his engine. And now we've reacquired one of the 109s. This guy isn't smoking, so it might have been one of the guys.
We're coming downhill now, underneath this cloud, just barely keeping contact with this 109. He has no idea we're there, and he doesn't see us until too late. And we get a nice low deflection angle shot where we can just hose our opponent down with some high quality hits and extend away because we still don't know where that other BF-109 is. We're going to keep our nose fairly low, although above the horizon, to climb and make sure that we keep our airspeed as we go, because airspeed is life.
Guys that we hit in that diving pass earlier. So he's going to come in through the cloud and he's going to try to take a deflection shot here. And you can see he hasn't fully pulled him into the HUD yet. He's fighting through these clouds. He's going for a low angle and gets a really good burst into this 109. Just lays into him. And comes back over the top again, keeping his energy. And that 109 looks like he's going in. I think he just splashed there. Yep.
Always got to remember with the current IL-2 clouds, you can still see propellers through them. So that 109 may have thought that he had top cover because of the clouds, but really the 9 saw him the whole way through, which let him got that really good burst in. So always got to be mindful of that.
In conclusion, I think this is an absolute clinic of an energy fight. I don't think I could have done any better. We switched targets when we needed to, we extended after our attacks, we pushed for the control zone, we didn't take shots that we didn't need to, we didn't push for shots that we couldn't get, and we set ourselves up for the best shots that we could get. The 2 kill shots here were tracking shots, they were not snapshots. The initial shot in this fight was a snapshot, but it was circumstantial, and hey, if you can take a quick snapshot, then take it. But again, we extended away, we used our energy, and we controlled the fight. We didn't allow our opponents to dictate what we were going to do. And that's key. That's one of the things that separates good pilots from great pilots, is that amount of patience and understanding how to control a fight. So thank you very much to Enigma for allowing me to comment on this. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the air.
So I know normally when I usually do these kind of commentaries, I'm usually pausing at multiple points throughout the commentary, but this one had a very nice flow to it. And so I'll just give some of my final thoughts here regarding how this fight went. So the 9s ended up right at the beginning in the mix of 2 109s, and you noticed how he never fully committed on either of them until he had his assurances that, you know, he could make a gunshot. And while he was roping one around, he was climbing up and setting up the other one for a shot. So he never ignored the second aircraft or first aircraft, depending on, because they kept alternating positions when he was in that engagement. So he was always cognizant of that. He was maintaining his energy. He was checking his 6. This is really like textbook of how to fight when you're outnumbered. Using your plane's advantages, using your plane's innate capabilities to your advantage. So he was faster than 109. Climb rate's about the same, but he could build up speed in a dive, in a straight line, translate that into potential energy, that kinetic energy to potential energy and altitude. And he just kept above him. And the other 109s were just cranking down and really flying, you know, HUD BFM, or just trying to keep their nose pointed at the P-51 the whole time. And they just didn't have the energy to do that. A couple opportunities were squandered by those 109s. That one guy, he came up and gave it all, just dumped all of his energy to get the nose on. And either he didn't have the gunnery skill or didn't have the stability to really make those shots count. And, you know, 9's just, again, after seeing that, stayed above him, you know, tried to jink out of his line of fire, managed to do so successfully, and then dove on the original guy and just lit him up. And just kept pushing him down on the deck, and that's what the P-51's good for. Like, the 109 is a very dangerous one-circle fighter. It's got great nose authority. It's got that cannon in the nose, so if it points at you, it's extremely dangerous. But what you want to do is you just want to force them, when you're a P-51, you want to force those guys out of energy, keep them below you, keep them pushed down to the ground. And once they don't have any altitude to use to get airspeed back, they're just not going to be able to compete. You're just going to be sitting there staring at the P-51 and hoping he makes a mistake and give you an opportunity to point your nose and get a shot. And there was one opportunity where that one kind of did happen, but they weren't able to convert. And Nines is really just textbook dealing with this and using his plane's superior speed, dive, and turn rate capabilities, especially with the G suit and whatnot, and keep at high speed against the 109s and just kept them on the back foot the whole time. So great fight by Nines. So it was great to watch, and this is honestly like textbook behavior that you want to see in multiplayer servers. The 6 checks, the climbing, the looking around, not just getting target fixated up on target. So awesome fight. Well, guys, that's it for me. Really appreciate that. This Ace Files review number 7. So guys, check out the rest of the series. There's a lot of good, like I've commentated on a few of them before, like I mentioned earlier in this recording. But if you guys go back, there's a bunch of different pilots that have also commentated, and they've got some great perspectives as well. Big thanks and shout out to Enigma who puts this on. This is a really great series, and looking forward to seeing more of them. Take care.
This fight was a delight to watch. I actually was looking forward to commenting on this, but after I reviewed the fight and saw what everyone else said, I felt like I didn't really have too much to add. The only thing I would really like to say is to kind of talk about what the 109s did. I'm not sure if these 109s were on comms. I would actually love to know, because regardless of what, if they were or not, what they were doing was constantly staying on top of each other. And I mentioned that fights like this sometimes is like juggling. It's really easy to keep track of things when both of your targets are together and on the same plane. It was very rare in this fight that the 109 stopped chasing with their noses. They pretty much always were nose on. The one time that these 109s weren't exactly on top of each other is when the smoking 109 stalled out, and that is only because he went all in for a stall shot. Gotta keep this in mind when you're flying with your friends. When I'm in a 2v1 with a friend, I will make sure to always assign or to declare, which one's chasing and which one's nose on. Or sorry, which one's chasing with nose on and which one is going to keep taking passes and keeping their energy up. By doing this, you have one person that's pressing the enemy and just staying on him, and the other person's taking passes, and it just becomes really hard for the one defender to defend 2 different types of attacks at the same time. You just get overwhelmed at some point. And on top of that, if you both commit super hard like this, like what these 109s did, you're just eliminating so many options, and you're leaving yourself up to so much risk. Like, imagine this fight if another P-51 would have come in, like these 109s would have just been destroyed way faster. Please remember that these videos are only possible if people submit clips or are willing to comment. So please check out the socials that are linked in the comments and in the description. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. Thank you and have a good one.